So now I've got a nice clean grid as well as one that's been sprayed with cooking spray. It's going to keep our chicken breasts from sticking. Just put these chicken breasts, who've now been marinating for at least a couple of hours. And we have our gas grill sitting at a preheated temperature of about 350 degrees. We're going to let them sit like that for a few minutes and then we're going to turn them.
That'll be about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Black has a treat.
Another quick and easy thing to do, either on the charcoal grill or the gas grill in your backyard, is a portobello mushroom. You know, portobellos are sometimes often referred to as the steak of vegetables, and we're going to give you that filet mignon flavor with this right here. Now, how I like to do mine is marinate them, but I like to take the marinade and thicken it up a little bit with barbecue sauce. The sauce I use is a sweet, smoky sauce combined with this apple cider vinegar-based marinade. It gives it like a little sweet and tangy profile. The next process is to take the 4-cheese blend, sometimes called Mexican cheese. We're just going to sprinkle it lightly, or maybe even not so lightly, all over the portobello. You can tell that I rinsed these, and I pulled the stem from the middle so that they're nice and flat.
Don't forget your chicken.
And now they've done 10 minutes on one side. We're going to do about another 10 minutes, and these are going to be ready to eat. Now these were not glazed with sauce because that's optional at the end. You could have put sauce on these the last 5 minutes. They are nice, good, done, juicy, and moist. And now we're going to take one of these chicken breasts and we're going to chop it up, dice it, and put it on a portobello mushroom. And keep in mind, you don't have to do this with just chicken breast. You could do this with pork loin or pulled pork. And another way I like to do my portobello mushrooms is make my own little seafood stuffing. Maybe some shrimp, some crab meat, dice it up, blend it with a little bit of mayonnaise as a binder and some breadcrumbs, sprinkle it on here along with the cheese and the sauce. Turns out really, really good, yummy for the tummy. Now you can take the same, imagine for a moment that this portobello cap is a pizza crust. You can use the same type of idea and make a barbecue pizza at home. Maybe you take a little bit of pizza sauce and mix it half and half with your favorite barbecue sauce. Do your chicken and your cheese and your sauces, and you're going to come up with another great tasting, very simple, easy thing to do. About 10 minutes later, our portobello mushrooms are ready for consumption. There's a fairly short window to eat these. You need to eat them within the first 30 minutes that they're done. It's a great item hot off the grill.
Terry Black's been cooking championship barbecue since the 1980s, winning 12 championships, including world champion. At the renowned Memphis in May, his Super Smokers barbecue team finished in the top 10 7 of 9 years. Lucky customers enjoy that excellence at 5 restaurants, and there are new ones coming. The National Barbecue Association named Super Smokers the best restaurant of 2003.
Well, the taste, obviously. To me, it's just the best right there. And all the different sauces. So you can try different. If you want a spicy day, you can have a spicy day. If you want a sweet day, you can have a sweet day.
Pulled pork, no question. Championship winning.
And these are championship ribs from that championship team.
The Super Smokers barbecue team cooked in its first sanctioned event, a Memphis in May event, back in 1986. Been cooking all these years, and with me to co-found that barbecue team is my college roommate, Skip Steele. We've cooked a lot of different things over the years, and one of the things we've won a lot of awards with are our ribs.
It's the largest loin back rib on the market today. That's a 2.5 pounder, and that's what we use because it has a good marbling of meat. And also you can cook it a little slower and a little longer.
One of the first things we do, now this particular slab, because the ones we buy are already skinned, but if you're going to cook in a rib competition, you're going to have to take the membrane off the back.
Well, the easiest way to do it is take a flathead screwdriver, and what you do is you insert the screwdriver right underneath the edge of the bone. You reach in there with your fingers, and you just peel it off.
Once you know that you have the slab of ribs trimmed up the way you want it, it's looking good, then you apply your dry rub. I'm going to have Skip show you the exact application. There's a certain amount. You can't really measure it out how you do it. You know, if you ask me, is it a tablespoon? Is it a teaspoon? We don't really do it that way. It's more by look. You can tell by this look right here that this is what we're looking for.
We just want a good even coat on it.
Not over, you know, not too much, and definitely not too little. If you don't get enough on there, then the spices aren't going to penetrate the flavor. The rib isn't going to pick up the flavor from the spices.
It's okay.
Well, I want the dry rub every place that there's meat. That way it's going to have the same flavor any place you bite it.
Sprinkling a little on the back, because remember, this rib's been skinned.
A super smoker's secret: don't rub the rub.
Now that's a key thing to remember. Don't rub it around. On a competition type of meat, on a slab of ribs like this, just leave it like that, the way he sprinkled it on there. Now, on some other types of meats, you might really rub it in. Maybe if you're doing a pork shoulder or something like that, you may really be trying to rub it in. Or on a hog, you might be trying to rub it in. But on this particular slab of ribs, we don't want that effect. What are you trying to do, Skip?
Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to paint a canvas. You want this product to look exactly like you want it right now, that when it comes out of the smoker, it looks identical to it.
Our last thing we're going to do to the ribs before we put them on the smoker is we're going to seal them, almost like putting an extra coat on the ribs. And what are we doing here, Skip?
Well, we're taking some just light brown sugar, and we're actually just going to pile it on the rib, and we're going to let it sit here until the moisture starts drawing out of it, and it'll actually go back to a molasses base.
The brown sugar is going to start to liquefy, and it's going to melt down on top of the ribs. When it does that, it's going to put a sheen over the dry rub and keep those nice spices and that great dry rub right on top of the meat, and it's going to help hold it in there so that when it starts cooking, it's going to draw down right down into the meat, right into the bones of those ribs. And one of the things we like to do is just take a light dusting of the rub and put it back on top of the brown sugar, just as an insurance barrier.
With the cooker settled at 250 degrees,
just like that, my man. There she goes. We won't see that slab of ribs again for about another 60 minutes.
Terry Black offers some advice for those starting out.
From day one, we've been tweaking this particular piece of the puzzle, and I simply call it the list. Your game plan. When you go into an event, you sit down several days in advance and you plan out everything you need, and you have it on a list. And you start out with the list, just everything that pops into your head. Then you go in and you rework the list, and you do it in chronological order, and you go, okay, well, this comes first, this comes second, this comes third, this comes 102nd, all the way down. If you will work from a list, you'll be more efficient. After our ribs have been on the rotisserie smoker for about an hour, it's time to put a mop on them. We have our favorite marinade that we mop our ribs with. You ought to have your own. If you're into competition cooking, here we go. Skip's going to show you how to mop. These ribs are going to cook for 4 hours, so we're going to mop them at least 4 times, once every hour. I guess our true flavor statement is applewood, because we just don't over smoke anything. We like to put smoke on meat. You have to be careful when you cook with hickory, because you can